You know what? I could 100% just make this channel about all the ways that car makers find to shaft the customer. Frankly, we'd never run out of content. However, today's a little different. I'm bringing you a rare bout of optimism here, because a new policy that makes it significantly more difficult for car makers to continue using components that cannot be physically repaired has been agreed, and we're already seeing it have an impact on part design. Let me start with an example here. So you might have already seen this. Mercedes will use screws, not glue, in back to basics manufacturing push. So they're talking here about headlights. In case you didn't know, the insane but modern way of assembling a headlight is often for the whole thing to be bonded together. So, if a stone flicks up off the road, which does happen, we're living in the real world here, let's say it breaks the cover, you need to buy a whole new light unit. You can't buy that one single piece, because more often than not, they are unrepairable. If you try and take them apart, you'll often cause more damage. What Mercedes is saying here is, we've had a bright idea. Why don't we use screws rather than gluing them together? Then the individual pieces could be separated and replaced. What an epiphany. Why did no one think of this sooner? Only they did. Up until the 90s, this was completely commonplace. The short answer as to why they started to glue them together is, well, this. Gluing them together meant larger after-sales profit, because customers now had to buy a whole new light unit despite often only needing a single part, and the glue also makes assembly cheaper rather than using hardware. So that's why they done it. Now, if you read this article, or any other on this same topic, it's written in quite a positive, commending tone towards Mercedes for adopting this revolutionary new practice, almost as if it was their decision to incur more manufacturing costs in the interests of repairability. But let's face it, like every other manufacturer, it's a business. It's driven by profits, and only when those profits are set to suffer will change actually happen. So what has happened then? This. So these are the new rules set to be put in place by the EU. And before you're thinking, oh, well, that's the EU, it's not going to affect us here in the UK or the USA or wherever else, think again. Because keep in mind, the EU accounts for the third largest car market in the world. And these rules, well, they apply to any manufacturer who wishes to continue selling their cars in any of the European countries. So that is basically every manufacturer on the planet. What these rules mean for them is that they will now be consistently responsible for financing the disposal costs of their products. So as a result, design choices that make a car hard to dismantle, like a permanently bonded headlight, drive up the end-of-life treatment costs. So it's in their own financial interests, as well as being a legal requirement, that vehicles going forward be designed for easy dismantling. Beyond that, these rules also stipulate that manufacturers must provide dismantling and part removal information that can be used when the car reaches end of life. You can probably start to see where I'm going with this, in that one of, if not the biggest blockades to repairability, is these sealed for life, unserviceable throwaway components, which have become massively common in recent years. And although these new rules, although they focus on making cars easier to dismantle at the end of their life, it inevitably means more repairability through their life. Because if something can be taken apart, it can be fixed. Now, I mentioned the headlight example, but there's others as well, of course. Take a door card, for instance, the interior side of your door. A common practice for assembling these is to use ultrasonic welding. So yeah, door cards that take a beating, get slammed, have handles break off, have got window motors tucked deep inside them. These are welded together. I'll let you imagine how easy these are to access and work on. And that's often why, if you break the handle off your door, a little bit of plastic handle, shouldn't be more than a couple of pounds. That's often why, if you manage to break that, they'll try and sell you a whole new door card. Because these things, again, are all bonded together. Just like the headlights, we're seeing these become more repairable, with the welds being swapped for rivets that can be drilled out and re-riveted should it ever be necessary. Meanwhile, moving away from Mercedes, look at another brand, Stellantis. As of last year, Right as these rules were looming, they decided to expand their circular economy solutions, which just so happens to be the exact terminology used in the EU's agreement. And get a load of this and try not to laugh, okay? A repair and return service is available for multi-brand automatic gearboxes and complex electronic parts. Worn components are repaired and returned for use in the original vehicle, whilst defective parts are repaired and made available for off-the-shelf purchase. In 2025, this service was expanded to include other repairs, such as high-voltage batteries, DPFs and brake calipers, through a global network of 33 e-repair centres. They speak of repairing and refitting components like it's something new and novel, not like it's what mechanics have been doing for the last 100 years. We didn't always just replace major components, you know. That is a fairly recent development. We've come full circle here, haven't we? Now, last thing I want to mention, there's one loophole to all of this, one way in which manufacturers can weasel out of it and avoid the responsibility of it. A loophole that's been exploited for years. Exports. Every single year, 3.5 million old cars go missing from the EU roads. That's 1 in 3 cars that just vanish. What's been happening here historically is as these cars approach what the EU consider to be end of life, they're being quietly exported to Africa and various Asian destinations where they'll continue to be run for years to come. What this means is cars that are exported at the end of their life escape the data set. So if you can get rid of the worst, most unrecyclable cars, it helps the stats stay looking healthy on paper. And going forward, it would mean cars that can't be easily dismantled could be swept under the rug in the same way. However, this new policy now also bans the export of end-of-life vehicles. The cars must remain and be processed in the EU to prevent manufacturers from avoiding accountability for these poor designs, which honestly, I think is a good thing. For years now, governments have had such a laser focus on tailpipe CO2 emissions and recyclability that almost everything else has fallen by the wayside. The result is, as we've seen, car makers they've run amok with unrepairable throwaway parts and tech. Even though the main focus of this policy is easy dismantling, I reckon it is a big step towards repairability, but do let me know your own thoughts, as always, in the comments section below. What's going to be interesting here is to see the effect that has on other used car prices, because if you take away that lowest rung, it's going to push everything else up, isn't it? And I'll mention this quickly, just because I know how many of us are buying used cars. Vehicle Score, they offer 20% off all their HPI checks to our channel viewers. You'll find a link in the description below for this. Find out if a car's ever had written off crash damage. Find out if there's finance on it. Basically, cars are getting expensive. Make sure you do buy a good one. But as ever, thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in seeing more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, and I'll see you in a few days.